Let's begin with something honest. For most people, the deepest fear is not intimacy itself. It is rejection. It is the fear of moving closer to someone, showing interest, expressing desire, or opening up emotionally, only to feel that the other person does not meet you in the same place. That is the part that creates hesitation. Not connection, but the risk that comes with it. Because intimacy, in its real form, is never just physical. It is emotional first. It requires vulnerability. It asks you to let another person see something genuine in you, your interest, your softness, your curiosity, your affection. And whenever something real is exposed, the possibility of rejection feels more personal. That is why so many people hold back, not because they do not want closeness, but because they do not want the discomfort of feeling unwanted, misunderstood, or emotionally out of step. This is where many people misunderstand the whole dynamic. They think intimacy is difficult because people are afraid of closeness. But often, that is not true at all. What people fear is the awkwardness of misreading the moment. They fear giving more than the other person is ready for. They fear creating pressure where there should have been ease. And most of all, they fear the silence, distance, or emotional shift that can happen when interest is not shared. But real intimacy was never meant to be forced into existence. It is not something that should feel like a test, a performance, or a risk-heavy move. Healthy intimacy develops when both people feel safe enough to be honest and relaxed enough to move naturally. It grows through mutual comfort, mutual interest, and mutual willingness. When those things are present, connection stops feeling stressful. It begins to feel clear. That is why emotional maturity matters so much here. A mature person does not chase intimacy by trying to avoid rejection at all costs. A mature person understands that rejection is not always failure. Sometimes it is simply information. It tells you that the timing is not right, the energy is not mutual, or the connection is not developing in the same direction for both people. And that understanding changes everything. It replaces pressure with awareness. It replaces fear with patience. In the end, intimacy is not about convincing someone. It is not about finding the perfect words or controlling the moment. It is about recognizing when closeness is naturally shared. When both people feel respected, emotionally at ease, and genuinely open to one another, intimacy becomes something that unfolds instead of something that is pushed. Because the truth is simple. People do not fear intimacy as much as they fear rejection. But when connection is mutual, rejection stops being the center of the experience, and intimacy begins to feel the way it was always supposed to feel: natural, respectful, and real. Now let's go deeper into something many people misunderstand. Desire is not always immediate, and emotional readiness does not always appear on the surface. Especially in the early stages of connection, what someone feels internally may take time before it becomes visible in the way they speak, respond, or move closer. That is why emotional awareness matters so much. Attraction is not always a simple yes or no. Sometimes it develops gradually. Sometimes it depends on context, trust, comfort, and emotional safety. A person may enjoy someone's presence at first without feeling a strong pull, and then later, after enough genuine connection has been built, that feeling can deepen into something much more meaningful. This is important to understand because too many people mistake timing for chemistry. They assume that if desire is not immediate, it is not there at all. But human connection does not always work that way. Emotional readiness often grows in layers. It grows through consistency, through conversation that feels effortless, through moments where both people feel more relaxed, more understood, and more comfortable being themselves. For many women in particular, desire is often connected to more than appearance or impulse alone. It can be shaped by the emotional quality of the interaction, how safe the energy feels, how respected they feel, whether the other person seems grounded, attentive, and emotionally present. These things may sound subtle, but they make a powerful difference, because when someone feels emotionally secure, they become far more open to closeness than when they feel uncertain, rushed, or observed with expectation. Emotional readiness also cannot be separated from autonomy. A person feels more open when they feel free. Free to slow down, free to speak honestly, free to say yes, no, or not yet, without being judged for any of it. That freedom creates trust, and trust changes the entire emotional atmosphere between two people. Without it, even attraction can become tense. With it, closeness has room to grow naturally. This is why patience is not passive. Patience is one of the strongest signs of emotional intelligence. It shows that you are not trying to force a moment before it is real. It shows that you are paying attention not only to your own desire, but also to the other person's pace, comfort, and willingness. And when someone feels that kind of respect, they often feel safer becoming more emotionally open. Real connection deepens when both people feel like they are arriving there together. Not when one person is trying to pull the other forward, not when the moment is driven by pressure, assumption, or hidden expectation, but when the energy feels mutual, steady, and naturally inviting. Emotional readiness stops feeling complicated. It becomes easier to recognize because it is no longer something being guessed at. It is something being clearly felt by both people. That is the deeper truth. Desire is not only about attraction, it is also about timing, trust, and emotional comfort. And when those elements are present, intimacy no longer feels like something that has to be managed or pushed into existence. It begins to unfold in a way that feels mutual, calm, and completely real. Now let's talk about where things often go wrong. Most mistakes in intimacy do not come from bad intentions. They come from impatience, misreading the moment, or focusing too much on one's own hope instead of the shared emotional reality between two people. And once that happens, even a connection that had real potential can start to feel uncomfortable, uneven, or forced. One of the most common mistakes is moving faster than the connection itself. Some people feel attraction and immediately want to act on it, assuming that their feelings are enough to carry the moment forward. But closeness does not deepen just because one person feels ready. Intimacy only becomes natural when both people are emotionally aligned. When someone pushes the pace too early, the other person may not necessarily lose interest, but they often lose comfort. And once comfort disappears, openness usually disappears with it. Another mistake is treating intimacy like a goal instead of an experience. The moment connection starts feeling like a destination to reach, something important gets lost. Presence disappears. Sensitivity disappears. Instead of paying attention to whether the other person feels relaxed, engaged, and genuinely responsive, the focus shifts toward how to get there. And that mindset changes the entire energy. What could have felt natural begins to feel strategic, and that is often where emotional tension begins. A third mistake is ignoring the importance of subtle feedback. People rarely communicate everything with words alone. Comfort, hesitation, enthusiasm, uncertainty, warmth, distance, and openness are often visible long before they are spoken. That is why emotional intelligence matters so much. If someone is becoming quieter, less responsive, more reserved, or less physically at ease, those signals matter. Missing them can turn a moment that needed patience into one that feels pressured. On the other hand, when someone is clearly engaged, relaxed, and responsive, the connection tends to speak for itself without needing to be forced. Another common error is believing that confidence means persistence. It does not. Real confidence is not about pushing through hesitation. It is about being calm enough to notice it, mature enough to respect it, and secure enough not to take it personally. Many people confuse insistence with strength, when in reality, the strongest presence in any intimate situation is one that creates safety, not pressure. Someone who respects boundaries without making the moment heavy or awkward often creates far more trust than someone who keeps trying to keep the momentum alive. There is also the mistake of relying too heavily on words while ignoring emotional atmosphere. A person can say all the right things and still create the wrong feeling. Why? Because intimacy is shaped just as much by tone, timing, presence, and emotional steadiness as by language. If the energy feels rushed, nervous, performative, or overly intentional, the other person feels that immediately. But when the atmosphere feels easy, respectful, and emotionally grounded, closeness tends to develop with much less friction. Perhaps the biggest mistake of all is forgetting that mutuality is the whole point. Intimacy is not meaningful because it happens. It is meaningful because it is shared, because both people are choosing it, feeling it, and moving into it freely. The moment one person starts trying to lead the entire emotional experience alone, the balance disappears. And without balance, the connection usually stops feeling good for at least one of the people involved. That is why the healthiest approach is never to force progress. It is to pay attention, to stay present, to let the connection reveal what it actually is instead of trying to make it become something faster than it naturally wants to become. Because most mistakes in intimacy are not really about saying the wrong thing. They are about losing touch with timing, comfort, and emotional reciprocity. And once you understand that, everything starts to change. You stop trying to create closeness through pressure, and you start learning how real closeness actually grows. So what does the right approach actually look like? It begins with a simple shift in mindset. Intimacy is not something to force, manage, or make happen. It is something that grows when the emotional environment is right, and that environment is built through safety, trust, and a sense of mutual ease that allows both people to move closer without pressure. The first part of that is emotional invitation. An emotional invitation is not a tactic. It is not about trying to pull someone in with hidden pressure or carefully calculated words. It is simply the ability to create a space where closeness can develop naturally if both people want it to. That means being present, attentive, and warm without making the other person feel cornered by expectation. It means allowing the connection to breathe instead of pushing it forward before it is ready. This matters because pressure changes everything. The moment someone feels that a situation is moving according to another person's agenda rather than a shared emotional rhythm, they often become more guarded. Even if there was interest, pressure can interrupt it. It can replace curiosity with caution. That is why the healthiest kind of connection is one where neither person feels rushed into a role, a response, or a pace they did not fully choose for themselves. Safety is the foundation of all of this. And emotional safety is not created through promises alone. It is created through behavior, through patience, through consistency, through the feeling that the other person is paying attention, not just to what they want, but also to how the moment feels for both people. When someone feels that their comfort matters, they relax. When they relax, they become more honest. And honesty is what makes real closeness possible. Trust grows in the same way, not through intensity, but through steadiness, through the quiet sense that the other person is emotionally grounded, that they are not there to take control of the moment, but to share it, that they can handle slowness without frustration, uncertainty without ego, and vulnerability without turning it into pressure. This kind of trust does not just make intimacy easier, it makes it meaningful. Because when trust is present, closeness stops feeling risky and starts feeling welcome. Another important part of the right approach is responsiveness. Real connection is always relational. It depends on awareness. It depends on noticing how the other person is feeling, how they are responding, and whether the emotional energy is becoming more open or more reserved. A healthy approach does not assume. It pays attention. It adjusts. It respects. It understands that intimacy should feel like something unfolding together, not something being led by one person while the other tries to catch up emotionally. This is why genuine warmth matters more than performance. People feel the difference between someone who is trying to appear confident and someone who is actually emotionally steady. One feels calculated, the other feels safe. When your energy is calm, respectful, and unforced, the other person does not have to defend their space as much. They can simply be present. And presence is where real intimacy begins. The right approach also leaves room for honesty, for both people to slow down if needed, to speak clearly, to express interest without creating pressure, to let the pace reflect what is actually mutual rather than what is imagined or hoped for. That kind of space is powerful because it removes the fear that closeness will come at the cost of comfort. It reminds both people that the connection only matters if it feels good, clear, and freely chosen on both sides. In the end, emotional invitation, safety, and trust are not separate things. They work together. Invitation creates openness, safety creates relaxation, trust creates depth. And when those three elements are present, intimacy no longer feels like something uncertain or forced. It starts to feel natural because it is being supported by the very things that make human connection real. That is the deeper truth. The right approach is not about gaining more control over the moment. It is about creating less pressure inside it. And when that happens, closeness has the space to become what it is supposed to be: mutual, respectful, and deeply human. In the end, real intimacy was never meant to feel like pressure. It was never meant to feel confusing, one-sided, or emotionally heavy. When closeness is genuine, it does not need to be forced into existence. It develops through mutual comfort, emotional honesty, and the quiet understanding that both people are free to move at a pace that feels right. That is what makes real connection different from performance. Performance is about trying to create an outcome. Real intimacy is about allowing something meaningful to unfold. One is driven by tension, overthinking, and hidden expectation. The other is guided by presence, trust, and emotional awareness. And people can feel that difference immediately, even when nothing is being said directly. When intimacy is natural, there is less fear inside the moment, less need to guess, less need to control, less pressure to make something happen before it is truly ready. Instead, there is space. Space for honesty, space for comfort, space for each person to feel what they feel without being rushed into a response they are not prepared to give. That kind of space does not weaken connection, it strengthens it, because it replaces uncertainty with emotional clarity. This is why patience matters so much, not because patience delays closeness, but because it protects the quality of it. It allows attraction to become deeper than impulse. It allows trust to become stronger than assumption. And it gives both people the chance to feel that what is happening between them is not being managed, but genuinely shared. The healthiest intimacy is never built on pressure or persuasion. It is built on mutual willingness, on the feeling that both people are arriving at the same moment together, not from fear, not from obligation, and not from confusion, but from real emotional alignment. That is when closeness stops feeling complicated. That is when it starts to feel calm, clear, and deeply human. So in the end, the goal is not to make intimacy happen. The goal is to create the kind of connection where intimacy can emerge naturally if it is truly mutual. A connection grounded in respect, in emotional safety, in trust, in the freedom for both people to be honest about where they are and what they feel. Because when intimacy is real, it does not feel forced. It does not feel like one person leading and the other person following. It feels like two people choosing the same moment together, and that is what makes it meaningful.